every time we have this conversation, or even like I have conversations with people, like I guess it's the people who want to be open, or they're trying to like internalize what we're saying. There's just that like initial reaction of talking about how hard it is. And my whole point is not to say that we're talking about trying to change the fucking world. Of course that's going to be fucking hard.
Right.
Individually, collectively, like no one's right.
Maybe for you.
Yeah. Hey,
no,
not me.
I'm no different.
I would just intervene personally.
If I was in the world, wouldn't have gone down like that.
Right. But it's like, no, it's like we're not. I'll speak for myself. Like, I don't say these things to be like, yeah, like everyone has the same opportunity. Like, come on, just, try as hard as you can, and none of the other factors matter. Like, no, like that's not what I'm saying. It's the imagination piece. It's like, all right, well, let's be real about what's happening, and let's be real about what could be. Don't use like lies and mythologies at that level of the discussion to rationalize not trying to do anything.
Right.
Like, if you're not going to do anything, just be real about it. Just say, I don't want to.
Yeah.
I don't want to. I don't feel like it.
Right.
Just say it. And if you want to accept that for yourself, so be it.
Right.
Like, I'll speak for myself. Like, I'm not judging you. Like, it's not like a moralistic thing for me.
Yeah.
I just know I want to be free.
Right.
And I know it's possible for us to be free. And I know what's possible for us to do collectively to try and be free.
Well,
but it's like, make up your mind, like
Right.
make up your mind. What do you really want?
Right.
That's
and don't
so-
try to talk me out of it.
Yeah.
Right.
you
Don't
know?
be a roadblock.
Right.
Yeah.
That's so important, because it's like, if there's something to that, because it's like, you can say, hey, in the current way I got set up, if the world's changing, I can't do shit about it. I won't be part of that until later.
Right.
That's fine.
Right.
But that doesn't mean it's just completely impossible.
Right.
Like, you
Right.
can't just just because you it's impossible to you. But it's theoretically probably possible.
Like, nah, but I work 60 hours a week, so could y'all just shut this whole thing down? Could y'all just like,
Dude,
stop trying? I can't do it. I can't do it with you. Stop
I
trying.
can't come. I
Yeah.
can't come.
Right. So stop it.
It's like that point we always make about like how you start to go reactionary when you go down.
Yes.
You start to literally become a counter-revolutionary.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
that's what you're becoming. It's
Yeah.
like, you're like, it's the same boomer shit of just like,
Yes.
that's a slippery slope.
Right.
Because then it's like, unless you're in that pocket where there's like a good chunk of people be like, well, that would never work. People would have to trust each other, unlike they do now. And it's like, that's the fucking point. Like, people don't trust each other. They're so competitive and selfish.
Yo.
It's like, that's where we're trying to change. That's the exact point we're trying to change.
You know what's crazy is how thin that veil is sometimes. I think I said this in the group chat, but I don't know if I said it on the show. But like, I was talking to my cousin about that.
You've talked about it before.
Yeah.
Have I?
He was like,
I think
really?
twice now.
you're like,
The cousin,
I
cousin who said
remember
people are selfish. Like, he watches the show. He's like,
He mentioned the babe story in the previous
There's gonna be
episode.
I did mention the babe story. Yeah.
I know there's gonna be a compilation of me just saying the same
I got a
shit
cousin.
over.
Yeah.
I got okay. So the thing about me, I got cousins.
Yeah. I was on this Greyhound bus one time.
I got this thing called family. Okay. Well,
Bro said anyways. That's like when they come back from the cutaway gag on Family Guy. They're like, all right, well.
Imagination. It's all about
Right.
imagination.
It's like the Raven with the cards. It's like, we got new materials. I got cousins. I got cousins.
Yeah.
What other cousins do I have?
No, I do think the moral of that story is on imagination. It's like,
But make the point here. It's a short point.
Yeah.
I think it's a good point.
Yeah.
Well, it's on imagination, and it's just the fact that a lot of people have just heard the same thing over and over, and they've never heard a justification for it. They don't have anything to back it up. And if you put one piece of information in front of them, then they're ready to let it go. Because I think most people, I mean, we have a liberatory instinct as people.
Right.
So I think if anything to push you in that direction, I think more people than you're aware of would accept that.
Yes.
Because you want
that threat.
Yeah.
Because like if I lived in a world where I really believed in this like capitalist realism shit, this Mark Fisher bullshit, where there really is no alternative, and somebody told me there was, I'd be like, yeah, fucking give me that shit.
Well, explain.
Like,
explain.
Like, go on.
Yeah.
You know, I want to hear more. I think people aren't like. I think people are aware that they don't have anything to back up the bullshit that they've been fed their whole life. And most people have, and again, it's just a matter of values. I think most people are aware that reality has been distorted in some way to get the result that they've gotten. You know,
right?
It's just a matter of what end of the spectrum you're on, whether you're up here at the top and you're delegating those that misinformation, or you're at the bottom and you're receiving it. You know, and then, you know, there's the fact of people's aspirations. Some people want to be up here and they don't, you know, willful ignorance and all that.
Right.
But I think
it's also guilt. I think though. I'm trying to think if there's like.
And
I totally agree.
Unnecessary guilt too, a large part of the
maybe
time.
probably unnecessary, like self-internalized like guilt and conditioning.
Yeah.
That is
Well,
like
it's
a
like,
play where
you work for Target. You're a capitalist, dude. It's that kind of shit.
internalized.
Internalized,
Yeah. It's like
you don't necessarily think about it that consciously, but you think, oh, I'm complicit in this.
Yes, I'm complicit.
But you're a wage worker though,
Right.
and
And
that's where it comes down.
The complicitness is, I think, what fuels maybe wanting to accept the unlogical answer. Like, because I'm trying to think about.
Yes.
You're right. Like, it makes so much sense rationally. Where don't we all want to hear the answer that makes us feel better and makes us want the world that we kind of all want?
Yeah.
But I think some people want to hear the other answer because then it's like, see, I was right all along. Like, I knew I was fine just doing my Target job or like doing whatever I'm doing and not trying and not seeking it out because this is just the way it is. It's capitalist realism.
Right.
Like. That, and I don't know. I think there is something weird happening there where some people want to hear the unlogical answer, or get frustrated when you're like, "But that's not the answer."
Yeah, because they have unlogical foundations.
Yeah,
you know,
exactly.
And it's like we have all these different definitions for the same words. You know what I'm saying? Like when we talk about freedom, we're talking about something completely different from most of this country.
Yeah,
you know, we're not talking about something that's delegated to us by the Constitution.
No.
Right.
You know,
a piece of fucking paper.
A piece of fucking paper. It's like
Nick Cage is gonna steal it anyway. Fuck yeah.
National treasure. Yeah.
But it's like what I mean. Like
there's a treasure map on the back of it.
I watched that recently. Great movie. John Voight's dad. Great movie.
My god.
Am I alone in not? Those lizards.
Yellow spotted lizard.
Sorry.
Am I alone in not knowing he's a Coppola?
Nick Cage.
Yeah. Did everybody know that? And I just didn't.
I
know it too, but I didn't know it.
Yeah, he's Francis Ford Coppola's nephew. I didn't know that. Nepotism, baby. Come on. Sometimes it works out. Am I right?
Yeah,
we got Nick Cage.
Sometimes.
Sometimes you just gotta pick. You know, you need a kid to buy a bunch of dinosaur bones.
Yeah.
You gotta pick the right kid.
I feel like if Nick Cage was here, he'd be like, that didn't really help me. Not as much as you would think. Didn't help me like that. What were you saying though?
I was saying, so like, what do you think about like, I guess the First and Second Amendments get harped on the most in terms of, like, especially let's say in comedy, like so many fucking people harp on freedom of speech as a right that comedians are at the front lines defending or some shit like that, and I get so frustrated with that argument because I hear like relatively rational people make this argument that like we're the last vestiges of freedom of speech, even though it's never really been free ever since the Sedition Act of the 18. Like, you know, like people don't think about these little like technicalities that are already implicit in constitutional amendments, and the fact that like something that's handed and what's supposed to be a natural right that's handed down to you by a legal body is never going to embody what it actually truly means. Because under a nation state like this, and especially in comedy, if you look at the way the industry is structured, do you really have freedom of speech if you have to go through years and years of avenues of like working with these entities, and like you start to self-censor because like NBC's not going to let me say this on their networks, or HBO's not going to let me say this, and then only then, after working through all of those avenues, do you eventually get to the Netflix, HBO specials, all these different avenues that comedians eventually get to, where now you're so buried in these little, in that, I mean, whether it's guilt or just manufactured consent, I don't know, where you really believe that you don't believe those things anymore.
Yeah.
To the extent that you just won't say them, say disparaging things about the people. You won't bite the hands that feeds you, and then you don't realize a lot of fucking hands are feeding you.
Right.
You know,
the thread that's interesting in that is, wow, think about who you care about not offending.
Yes, and that's why
and who you will just offend.
Yes, exactly.
Without thinking.
and I have been trying to make this point for a long time, and Demetrius sent me a book.
Martin?
Yeah, Dimitri Martin sent me a book that kind of encapsulates a lot of things I've said on the show over the years, but just the fact that like comedy has shifted into an art form that's made for domination. It doesn't exist for anything else almost if you go through these traditional avenues, you know, because at best you're saying completely innocuous shit that doesn't offend anybody, and like, you know, Nate Bargatze is a hilarious comedian to me. We went and saw him live. He's a great comic, but he doesn't say anything really. He doesn't push the needle, you know what I'm saying? Or you can fully go completely fascist and you know, just stand by while Netflix defends your right to do it. Right. Defends your right to say it, because we have freedom of speech. We have to defend his right to do it, and we have to pay him millions of dollars to say it. That's how it works, you know. And I realize I deviated super far away from your point, but you know, that's what it is. Those are the things that we defend when we talk about freedom or whatever.
Yeah,
I was gonna say
it's not like the actual just baseline meaning of the word.
I was gonna say, or you could go cooler George Carlin route.
You could go cooler.
Go more radical than George Carlin.
Yeah.
But not being, I don't know, gimmicky about it. So I'm a commie, right?
Blasting the hard R.
So I'm a commie. The war in Iraq, right? Right? It's always the same.
Bad,
it's always the same like subjects that they zero in on first.
Right. It's
always like imperial. The whole thing is just about imperialism.
Right. Even then, it feels like just like anti-capitalist fanfare that's not really grounded in anything.
Right.
You know?
Well, the thing, like,
who here agrees with me?
Yeah. I used to be watching.
Who here loves Kim Jong-un?
That was that was one of the funny jokes, and like one of my favorite Patton Oswalt specials of all time. Patton Oswalt, like one of my favorite comics of all time, but he's like, I don't care who I offend in this room full of people I emailed, but it's like, I love that, because that's exactly what all those people are doing.
Yeah, right.
What's up with his social media?
Huh?
Patton Oswalt, he's just
he's learning.
Is he terminally online? Was that it, or what was it?
He's getting better.
Wait. Well, so what's, not to go into a Patton Oswalt?
Let's
we
do
talk
it.
for 30 minutes about Patton.
Ratatouille.
Let's get into it.
All right, really quickly though, he's getting better. Like, what is that? What do you?
Oh, I was just making a joke. Like he's working on himself.
Oh,
because all these celebrities, like, well, he took
he write?
He took a selfie with Chappelle, and then he took another picture apologizing, and it was like a dramatic photo of him writing the Instagram post in the green room.
You didn't see this, Brian?
The deer stand sort of.
I love him, man. It's just he's just a little lib boy who's just. He's under that same you know, hydraulic press. And the thing I'm trying to say also is, like, this is kind of diving back to the imagination, people saying, oh, it's impossible. It's like I feel like the hard thing, the dissonance that's hard to carry at the same time is like you can acknowledge we're on a total accelerating doom spiral and you can feel hopelessness, but still have imagination. Like, like it's like when there's 2 minutes left at a basketball game, and you're like, well, we could do a 3, and then if we got another steal, like, you just stay in the game,
right,
you know?
Yeah. Your heart's in it, dog. You're down by 4.
Yeah,
I'm
it's
thinking about this professional Super Smash Bros. Melee player M2K, who Mewtwo King, who is, he's known for if he's getting his ass whooped, he'll just like lose the game like on purpose. Like he'll just run off the stage and end it instead of like continuing to play.
Right, yeah.
And I think Eugene's just going to run off and end it. And Mewtwo King immediately makes the job easier for Dr. PP by just running off stage and raging.
And he's like done this like his whole But it's like, don't be Mewtwo King.
Exactly.
Like don't do that.
Exactly.
I mean, sometimes sometimes there's a momentum, a feeling or lack thereof rather, where you're like, nothing's gonna happen here. But life is more complex than a video game. Okay, folks. There's more factors at play. All right?